Yes. So I
Yeah, okay.
suppose you want to ask me about. I don't really like the term, like even the term dominant woman. It's like it feels like a misnomer, you know? It doesn't seem right. But go ahead, go ahead. Just like use your own words.
Okay, so here's the thing. I also don't really like the term, but not for the reasons you stated. My term is that, like the Coomer mindset, so many of us are in, or like a lot of people in our generation are in, so to say, makes you think of one certain thing, right? And that's not necessarily what I'm talking about, right? But besides that, I first I need to ask what you mean with a misnomer, like a dominant woman.
A misnomer,
I don't think I
yes.
understand what you mean.
Because it just seems very uh how do I put it? It's like the terms themselves are not aligned, you know? Like you expect a man to be dominant and a woman to be submissive, essentially. If you are to use those words to describe their roles, you know? And so when you say like a dominant woman, it's like you're trying to talk about like a contradiction, like a square circle, you know?
Yeah, forget you're on the Brazilian grind set where all the women are sex slaves in the favelas. But
I
no, no,
Here's the thing
because
though. I
I
don't
I
think
disagree.
that that's true. Like I think like even dominant women don't really want to be dominant, as far as I can tell.
I mean, that's. I mean, what? Here's the thing, though, with dominant. When we talk another, how to say, like word you use for it is also competent, right? But now we're
I
using
mean,
the word dominant. And what
I
I
mean,
mean to describe, what I mean to, that's
that's
one of the
not
terms. But
that's not what we're talking about though at all. Like you're not going
but
to
I'm getting,
say that
dude.
like
I'm
a
getting,
housewife is not competent.
I'm getting to that. Okay, chill the fuck
Okay,
out. Okay. So what I'm getting at is here that when a lot of people, not the way you are now doing it, sure, but a lot of people, what they really mean is competent woman. They don't mean dominant. A lot of people use it that way. Not all, obviously. Like you and me,
I
we're not.
I have
Because when I
never heard a
say
single
dominant,
person use it that way ever.
lucky for you, because that's exactly what fucking some red pillars use it for, and it's fucking annoying as fuck. So that's another reason not to listen to them, right? Now, this is what when I say dominant woman, I mean someone who is one competent, but sure, also extremely self-confident, and three that, that's a crux, right? Because when you say dominant, because some people they have like this negative annotation with it, that is someone who domineers other people. But
That's
to
exactly what
me,
it means. Yes.
yeah, but okay, that's okay because to me it also can mean, and how I would use it in this case, commandeer. And I mean, then you have the whole friction between a totalitarian and a leader, right? So a leader would be someone who's commandeering, whereas totalitarian would be someone who seeks to dominate. And that's so when I use dominant in this case, I mean commandeering. So if we start there, so if I say, if I, you might say you're using the words incorrectly, but if I said, okay, in terms of dominant, I mean a self-confident woman who's commandeering.
I
Do you still think that is a contradiction?
I think that it's
If I use it
completely
that way.
unnecessary to go to the moral dimension to describe a word when it doesn't
Okay.
have any
Yeah.
moral connotations to it. Like it doesn't matter whether they're good dominant or bad dominant. Dominant is dominant, and that's to dominate someone. Like this shouldn't be difficult, right? And so even if you say, well,
That's what you mean. Okay.
yes, if you say, well, a woman is dominant, what you're saying is this person is more likely to dominate another, and this domination might come across or might like be shaped by different types of actions. It might be like, well, they control the conversation, or they like literally uh, tell another person what to do. But it doesn't matter exactly whether they're being a good leader or not. It just means that they are controlling things, and that's what being dominant means.
Okay, so I guess I can sort of see where we will end up this conversation. I will not end up, but where
I
we'll
mean,
go. So I
we're
might
just
actually just
defining
add
it,
to this
right?
point.
Didn't we actually have a real question about this?
Yes, but I had to argue with you because you said it's a contradiction.
It
And but
it
the way
feels
I
like
use it,
one. I understand that it's not, but yes, I just had to like uh because like I said to you, like I feel like even dominant women don't actually want to be dominant. Like they prefer to be dominant to people they don't really respect mostly, and then when they respect them, they are no longer dominant. That's how it feels like to me.
okay, I think it depends on what circumstances you're talking about. But then the problem becomes if you're talking about in a relationship, let's say we take in a relationship, okay?
Mm.
Dominant in a relationship. At that point, I don't think, but with what you're saying, if I go on with that, I would say that no one wants to be the dominant in a relationship because you want to work together. You don't want the other person to be over you all the time. Like in some cases, sure, if you, how to say, now I'm talking about committed relationship. I'm not talking about some fucking, oh no, I met this person, I'm dating them for 2 months. I'm talking like an actual real relationship building towards marriage and children, right?
Mm.
So in this case, you don't, then I would argue, okay, then you don't want dominance either. Like in some areas, you might want the other person to be leading in that case, but then I would argue that that's commandeering. It's not so dominant in that case
I don't really
would not be
care.
something you
Like
would
if you
either
want
want
me
to
to
have.
like pretend that the word doesn't mean what it means and it means something else, I will like I'll do it for you, you know? But that's there's zero reason for us to get bogged down by this. It doesn't matter.
Okay, cool. But then we state other positions on this one. Cool. So now this is what I mean. So, but then I will actually use another word, I think, or will I? Because really, what I mean, right, is when I say dominant woman, and what I want to ask you about it is this: that I'm talking about a woman that's very competent, maybe even more competent than you. Also, or the average, let's say the average man, right, or something like this. I don't really know, but more competent, and she's very self-confident, right?
Mm.
Like at least like on your level or above your self-confidence. Then to me it seems that these women would probably it would be hard for them to find a good match. That's just how it feels like. Because and this just to
Obviously,
bring
yes.
this caveat in, because to bring in this caveat right into it, just so because I want to also hear your opinion on that, is that if because if you're very common, like you probably make a lot of money and you're very self-confident, so forth, but then you need to find a partner that's not a fucking man child, you know,
Yes. Yes.
that is like sits at home and does nothing. So you would have to find someone who can play that game with you, but also is competent enough to be able to do other things, right?
Mm.
So it would, because I mean, neither of us will ever, say that, oh, it's wrong for a woman to be this way. Of course, you know.
Mm.
I mean, we both love Mintara from Baldur's Gate 3. That's kidding. But
I'm
my
actually
point can be,
romancing Mintara right now in my fourth playthrough. Trying to at least.
uh,
We'll see how it goes. But yes, go ahead.
yeah. So that's just what I wanted your opinion on.
Um, so I'm not sure if like I've told you, right? I think that women go for men that they do not want to be the mother of. Like they want someone who is at least at their level, but more often than not above. And what
Mm.
that translates to is that when a woman is confident, or sorry, when a woman is dominant, what they are doing is expressing their lack of, how would I put it? I mean, it has to be. It's a word that I guess might get misunderstood, but it is a lack of respect in the sense that they do not take the other person to be at the same level or above them, at least. It doesn't mean that they're being polite, it doesn't mean that they're being insulting. It just means that they think that they are uh, more, whatever you're going to use as the criteria for judgment, but we can say competent if you want. They think they're more
And that is a
competent
concept
than the
like
other
because
person, and therefore they express that as dominance.
well, that's the thing though, because I hear what you're saying, but then I need to get back because when we say because now you said dominant again, do you mean the way I laid it out or the way you laid it out when you say dominant in this case?
I
Because that's
mean,
not
controlling and uh,
okay. Got you.
desiring to be the one to control as well. Both of those.
Yeah, no, because that's the thing though. Like I would not advise anyone to get into a relationship where someone is how to say but that's the thing though. I mean some control because I don't know, it just feels like we're talking about the same thing but we're using completely fucking different words for it because
Okay, so let me
when
try
you
to
say
use a little
control
bit of what you're saying, right? Because what you're talking about in regards to people not wanting to be in a relationship with someone which is controlling, I don't really agree with
yes
that. I think that what you're talking about is someone being uh, overly controlling, because being controlling itself is not necessarily bad. And like at some point, if a couple argues about where they're going to have dinner, one of them was going
mm.
to have to say, "Okay, we are going to this place," and then the discussion has to stop. Like it can't devolve into a fucking fight because you don't agree where you go, and it can't just be someone always, folds and goes with the other person. Like that's not a relationship that is meant to work. But it has to be that someone has the final say at some point, and usually that's the identifying mark of the person which is dominant in the relationship.
Okay, that's what you mean. Okay,
Yes.
well but that's the thing though. I mean, it was also like this sounds like such a meme, but I think it's very important. It's like it depends on how you say it, how you like if you take for dinner, right? Like how you decide where to go. Because, for example, one of the tests, like one of these tests, I can see potential like a girl running on a guy, and this is perfect for example, to see if he's like a fucking psycho or not. It's like
Mm-hmm.
let's say for example he says, okay, we're gonna go to McDonald's for a date. Like maybe not the best place for a date, but let's say he says that, right? I
Mm-hmm.
want to take you to McDonald's, and we're gonna go at Wednesday. We're gonna go to McDonald's, and he sends this at Saturday, and she says, okay, sure. Then on Monday, to test him, she says, you know what? Is it cool if we go to Burger King instead? I just like the burgers more. Now, if the guy just fucking blows the fuck up and says, no, we're going to McDonald's, or, like super angry and shit like that, then that's obviously a good test to see, okay, this guy, stay the fuck away from him. He's a fucking groveling mess. Or if
Mm-hmm.
he, like, does some variation that he can't take the idea of someone, questioning him, right?
I don't think groveling is
So,
the right word there, but yeah, I understand what you're talking about. Yes.
coping is ironically also a good word to use for that, for how that man would behave, right? But
Maybe,
anyway, yeah.
yes.
So, but the way you're saying it is more that they have a discussion on. So it would be the equivalent that she says, "Oh, I want to go to Burger King," and she says, "Okay, why?" And like they have a discussion. And he says, "Look, man, I really want to go to McDonald's. I don't really want to go to Burger King."
No,
So if he said it like that,
I don't think that you have to say no to be the dominant person. You can say yes and still be the dominant person. The problem is whether you accept what is going to happen or not. Like if a dominant person like wants something and their partner also wants it, there won't be a fight about it. The fight will only happen if the person doesn't want it, right? The dominant person
hmm,
doesn't want it, and so uh, you can say, well, this is a good test, but unless it was like, you know, the person really hates Burger King for some reason, and I'm not sure exactly why that will happen. Like that should never be a big deal. Then that test would never work. You know. Um, then I mean, maybe you would catch someone who has like uh, some OCD or some type of mental illness. That they're like, no, we planned for this. It has to happen this way now. But besides that, I don't see how, like in your example, that would be something that someone who is overly controlling would trip at.
I mean, it's different too, right? I mean, there's different levels to this, right? I mean, that's a starting point. It's like, when you go to an interview to work at some place, and it's like different levels to it, right? So you start with a big interview with a lot of people, and then narrow down, narrow down, narrow down. So there are certain things you will say to kind of gauge the other person's reaction, right? So something I do all the time when I'm on dates is I just to see, okay, what type of girl is this? I will contradict them and say, no, I don't agree with that, and sort of say something else to see how they react.
Obviously,
Because
yes.
if they start pouting and stuff, I'm like, okay, get the fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out of
Yes.
here. Like, I don't have time for this shit,
Yeah.
Because then what would it be like? The equivalent of a man child but a woman, so a woman child. I don't know.
Yes.
So a woman child. that sounds. It doesn't sound like the right terminology out of a woman child. Man child has a
That's
better ring
because
to
we
it. A
don't
woman
hold
child does
women
not.
to the same standards as we hold men. But yes. Um,
Yeah, man.
the problem is,
We're feminists on the stream, right? Okay, we're feminists. We're proud women fighters. Okay.
that like the example you gave is like you're trying to talk about like a woman trying to test for a man being controlling, but I don't think that that's what we're talking about exactly, right? Because what we're talking about is whether or not the woman is going to find out if the partner that they're considering a relationship with is someone they are going to, let's say, have chemistry with, to use an
That's
outdated
true.
term. Yes, but like the way that they're going to judge this is not like you could say it's a test if you want, but it's more like does being with this person feel good? That's essentially what it boils down to. And of course, there's a lot of like rationalizations which happen, and some of which are logical, some of which are not. But that's like the baseline, right? That's if you don't feel good when you're with that person, you're not gonna have a relationship with them. And if you do, you probably like will try to. And so
I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that. You will try to. I mean, sure, if it's like an 18 or 19-year-old gal or a guy, but we're talking about gals now, right? So if it's
yes,
like an 18 or 19-year-old gal, then sure. But I mean, as people get older, they start realizing, okay, this feels good, but I shouldn't be in this relationship. Because I
I
mean,
don't
I've been
think
in.
so. I think people stop feeling good when they realize they're not supposed to be in that relationship. I think the feeling is always connected to the rationale.
I don't agree at all, actually, because I remember I've been in relationships, right, where the rationale was I should not be here, but I kept being in them because it felt good. So my
What?
rationale stopped working.
I mean, I don't. I mean, you'd have to be a little specific. You don't have to like give yourself as the example, but I've never had my emotions be out of whack with what I'm thinking, really. Um, I've had
Okay,
like
so let
problem
me.
explaining what it is that I'm feeling, but I've never like
Mhm.
thought uh differently or contradictory to what I'm feeling.
Dude, you rolled a critical failure on Insight. That's what happened, man. It happens to the best of us, okay?
I
And
mean,
now Shadow Heart hates you.
you're probably going to have to give an example here.
I will, I will. But before that, I have a feeling we're missing each other in terms of what we're talking about. So I need to ask just short questions so I get the yes or no quick, okay? Because then I
Sure.
say yes, understand. Okay. So in the case you just gave me about the, how to say, that you have a gut feeling. So are you talking about
It's not a
like
gut
in
feeling, it's just a
any?
feeling. Like it, it
It's
like
a
when
logical
you're
feeling.
yes, no. When you're fucking talking with someone, you're feeling something.
Okay.
And that feeling
Okay.
and what you're thinking are connected. That's
Okay.
what I
So let me
mean.
give you an example. Yes. Yes, I understand what you mean. Okay. So let's say you meet this girl. She's super fucking hot, fucking cute smile. She's funny. Okay.
Mm.
But you notice that she murders kittens.
I would
She actually fucking
immediately
murders kittens.
lose all attraction to her and would not feel good about her at all because my emotions and my thoughts are linked. So I'm guessing that you would say that you would still want to be in a relationship with that girl? Like you'd feel like
So
good?
what?
about it?
If I was if I was 15, 16 and fucking horny as fuck, Coomer brained, yes,
Okay, but that's not the
probably.
question, though, right?
Exactly. That's where I feel I'm missing you, man. So can
Okay,
you just repeat the question very more carefully?
right now, because you're saying that right now you wouldn't feel good about that relationship, right?
Exactly. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I mean, right? We're talking about whether or not a person is going to be
Okay,
able
right
to
now.
judge
Hmm.
a partner by how they feel about them. And
And we're
I
specifically
assume that
talking about
we're
in
using someone who is, not retarded as the measure.
or
And
Coomer
a
brain.
person who's not
That's
retarded is
different.
going to be able to use their feelings. Like, honestly,
No, I
like,
agree with you. Here's the thing. I didn't
if
get that part. Here's the thing. What I
no,
thought
but
you were
before
talking
before you
general,
go
like
on,
it's
I
super
just want to
general.
make this point. Like,
Sure.
it's obviously an impossible calculation because you're never going to be able to know everything about a person before you have a relationship with them. It's obviously
Sure.
impossible. The only things you can go by are things which are not exactly rational, and it's essentially like what evolution has trained our fucking bodies to be able to detect, which is like essentially subconscious and boils down to whether you feel good about a person in the end. And that's what you have to go by. And of course, you can use like shorthands and, oh, this person, I don't know, doesn't tip. Or, oh, this person was impolite to the waiter. And you can use those as markers of whether or not you'd be a good fit. But those are only uh, like what would happen really is that once a person, for example, you see that the girl you're dating, like berates the waiter for a mistake, and you think, yeah, I wouldn't want to date someone like this. Immediately accompanying that would be you losing at least partially, uh, like she would lose partially the attractiveness that she had in your eyes. And so I
I
think
think you're
that,
doing a very vital mistake here, though. Like, here's the vital
which
mistake that you're
is,
doing. You're assuming that the persons we're talking about has the same knowledge and experience as you do. Because if you don't have that, then like someone tipping a waiter, if you didn't know that was like a red flag or whatever, or like someone being mean to the waiting staff was a bad thing, then it would mean nothing to you. It would just be an event you witnessed, and you couldn't put that into a calculation. So objectively, it
I don't
would
think
be a
so.
bad idea to be with this person.
I think that people might not even understand, but they would still feel bad about it.
No, I
Um,
don't. I disagree.
because the
I
feeling
disagree with that
obviously comes
because
before the logic. Like, of course, the logic is like the last
mm,
thing that happens in the brain because it's like
yeah,
animals have emotions, like
yeah, but
it's
the
way
feelings.
baser than like it's way faster and way baser than thinking. Thinking is something that comes after. It's like post hoc.
I mean, let me be clear here too, right? If you were talking about like a 25-year-old woman, right? I mean, I was talking about also my perspective, but let's go because we again talking about women, right? So
Hmm.
if you're a 25-year-old women not being able to pick up these things and seeing, okay, this is probably a bad idea to date this person, I would agree with you, but there's still the chance that she just doesn't know about those warning signs. Because my point is simply this, and I guess this is where the big disagreement is about, is that your feelings can cloud your judgment in ways you're not prepared that it clouds your judgment. And that's my point, right? So although I agree with you that I personally am with you, like if I'm with a girl, and then she's really nice and stuff, but then she starts doing weird things, like for example being rude to the waiter and like acting like an asshole to other people, like talking about her exes all the time and showing me no respect, then sure. And then she could literally be Scarlett Johansson, right? And I would still think about that when I got home, when I'm not with her, and it would be like, yeah, this is a bad idea. And then I would eventually lose attraction, right?
Hmm.
But in the time I'm there, the feelings might be so strong because they get you in ways you're not prepared for. And if you're not prepared for them, i.e., you have not been in a bad relationship before, it's really hard because you don't know what you're seeing, you don't know what you're feeling. That's my point. But it seems to me that it seems to me that you're working on this impression, whatever word you want to use, that that like people just know instinctively that this is bad. Like tipping a waiter, like being rude to a waiter, that's bad. Like, and I would lose attraction, and then therefore everyone will lose attraction. And this is where I disagree with you.
I think that it is at some level something that everyone knows, but whether they registered it or not, that's a different story. But I think that we're like moving away from where we were, like the reason we are having this discussion, because like what we're talking about is
I don't
whether
actually disagree with certain things, you know. So go on.
like the issue is whether like because I'm trying to make the point that women don't really want a man who is not dominant. What they like, what dominant women are doing is they are expressing their feeling that they are above the other person when they are being dominant. And this is actually not something that they enjoy, as far as I can tell. And
Yeah, but
what I think we got into this like I'm not sure what to call it, like a tangent, uh, because I said that uh, we can tell like like the marker by which we use to judge a partner is how we feel about them, and I think that triggered you. But even if you like in the example you gave where you said,
no, it
well, you
didn't
go
trigger
back and then
me
you
in
think
that sense at
about how
all.
you were disrespected, and then you realize, oh, maybe I shouldn't be with this person. If you didn't feel bad about being disrespected, you wouldn't even think it, you know. And so it's only your feelings which are guiding you in the end. Like the thinking is just like a verbal component to them.
Yeah, but
uh,
now you're doing it feels like you're doing two contradictory things now. Because at one point you say no, logic would prevail, and that's the thing that like stabs at your feelings. Let's say your feelings are a big balloon, then the facts and logic are the nails popping that balloon.
I
But now on
never
the other
said
hand, you're saying
anything
no,
like
no, no,
that.
no, no. No, because
What?
what I say is, what I say is you lost me at this point. I'm actually lost. I don't
I'm
know what to do
saying
because
that
at
the
one hand it
logic
seems
is the fucking uh, tag that comes at the end of all of the processing of the information which happens with feelings, really. It's just a
but
verbal
not everyone
component.
thinks logically though. That's the problem. Not everyone thinks logically. They don't think, like fucking Heisenberg, fucking L from fucking whatever, right?
But I'm not saying they do. I'm saying that
So what I
sometimes it's better if they don't, really.
no, that's okay. Okay,
Yes. Yes.
I'm actually lost. Usually I understand what you're saying. This time I don't. I'm actually lost. I don't know what you're saying anymore, man.
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
know why you
You
think
lost
that
me.
being logical is necessarily going to be better every time. Like, why do you think that? Do you think like logic is magic or something? It's like omnipotency? Like, do you realize how many incredibly smart people were so fucking stupid that they committed genocide for it, for example?
No, it's about. I mean, I wouldn't say that they were logical then, right?
Of course they were. They were perfectly logical. Like, logic is just an order, it's an
Yeah,
algorithm.
but
It's not magic, it's not truth, you know?
with this stanza then, like within themselves, sure they're being logical, but then with that saying, I could have this. Let's say I have this girl, right, and she
Mm.
says, "Oh, my boyfriend, he kicks kittens, he fucking berates women on the street, he yells at them, like he's just a big fucking asshole, right? But I
Yes.
love him." So I'm gonna say be with him. I'm gonna be with him. Then she's being logical from her own point of view, right? So
And you
that
can
goes
also
against your one
say,
that she said,
I,
no, 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 no. Let me finish.
I'm going to
Let
do the
finish. Yeah,
opposite
no, no,
that you're doing, you know?
no, no,
Because
no.
I
Here's the
understand
thing.
your
Here's the
point.
thing. No, no, no. Here. Yeah, okay. So go on then.
Yes, so imagine the opposite case, you know? Well, I fucking hate my boyfriend, like he's a fucking piece of shit, but you know, I realized that to have the best chance of survival of my offspring, I should have the strongest and meanest person around. And so that's what I'm going to do because that's the logical thing to do. And so I'm going to keep him around despite the fact that, he fucking beats me or whatever. And that's perfectly logical, isn't it? Because if you're trying to ensure the survival of your children, then having a strong person around, even if they are fucking evil, is still the best. Like they can be a psychopath even, and as it turns out, and this is something
No,
which
no,
is
no,
pretty
no.
fucking no. Let me
Okay.
fucking finish. This is something that I've learned somewhat recently. Apparently, sociopaths actually treat their families very well. In fact, not just well, they treat them better than the average person because they are very conditioned by their genetics, I suppose, to try to pass off as many successful offspring as they can. And so it would be perfectly logical for a woman to marry a sociopath because she would be in the perfect position to be able to, spread her genes forward. And so even if she felt that that was a really fucking bad idea, well, good thing the logic would say otherwise, right?
Yeah, but that goes against your point though, because we both of us would probably say that logically you shouldn't be in this relationship,
I mean,
right?
I
Then
just laid out the case of why logic is not enough.
okay, but hang on now. So then, what is your point then? Because it feels like because I'm not memeing or anything. I'm actually genuinely lost at your point.
My
Because
point
then I
is, our feelings are often a
the
better
big point, the big point,
judge
big
of
point.
complex things than our logic. We overestimate the degree to which logic can help us. And that's why I said that this is not, and
Okay,
it is even the case that we should be arguing which one is better. The issue is this is the method that most people use it already. People use their feelings way more than they use logic, even if they pretend they do.
okay. So let me restate back your claim. So
Yes,
we are on the same page. Okay. So your argument is that actually, let me get some water because I need my fucking dude, my brain, man. High IQ ideas, man.
you need
Sam Harris,
hydration.
whether you're what do you say?
You need hydration. Keep your brain well oiled.
Exactly, dude. Mind flayer, man. I need that fucking hentai pussy later. Okay, that's why I'm being hydrated so I can just
Don't say
later.
that.
So what hentai pussy? Can we wait? You
Yes,
we can't say that on Twitch.
you absolutely can. I just want to hear you say it.
Anyway, to restate back your point here, it's like this: that in some cases, or in most cases, I don't know which one you said. I didn't understand which one you said, but let me just finish and then you can correct that one point. In some
Okay.
cases, or in most cases, our feelings are better judge of what way we should move on. Let it be in a relationship. What you were talking about in relationships, let's do that because that's what we're talking about.
Hmm.
Is that sort of your point, more or
Uh,
less?
yes, and a good example of that is, you're never going to convince yourself to love someone. You can't argue your way into loving someone. It's not a logic, If you're not attracted to them, you're not gonna be like, well, I
Hmm.
should be attracted to them, so therefore I will. That's not how it works.
In most cases, but did you say in most cases or in some cases? Yes,
And
yes. Answer
neither,
shortly on that one.
neither, because I'm not talking
It
about this
depends. It would depend.
isolation. Yes, it's not. I'm saying that you have to use both your feelings and logic, but when it comes to choosing a partner, your feelings often are better. Um, yeah, mostly. That's my point.
Re- but that's where I guess that's why we're disagreeing, right? So you're
Yeah,
saying
but
like,
like
for
it
example,
doesn't look,
Johnny Depp.
Gagger, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because our discussion was about whether women
No, no,
use
no.
their feelings or not to judge their partner, right?
Yeah, but this is an important point. I mean, if you don't wanna just okay, so
We
let
can
me
talk
just
about it, but
ask.
it's like away from the original discussion now.
Yeah, but that's fine. I mean, just understand you. So you think Johnny Depp did a good call? That was like the
When?
correct call up from Johnny Depp when he
When?
dated Amber Heard. When he dated Amber Heard.
I mean,
Yeah, and he was with her when she did all of these heinous acts against him, right?
I
And I'm
don't
not
know
saying
that.
Johnny Depp was fucking innocent. I'm not saying like Johnny Depp was innocent or something. Like he probably did some fucked up shit too, right? It takes two to fucking tango. But Johnny Depp, do you say like, oh yeah, that was right of him to do?
I think that he was trying to save a relationship which was doomed because of the children that he had with her.
No, they don't have any children.
Then why the fuck do I keep hearing about
Yeah, his kids. He has kids with someone else.
really? But
Yeah, I understand why. Well, let's do. I mean,
was
anyway,
Amber Heard
let's
like a mother to his children or not?
let me Google. Does
Because I remember
Johnny
people arguing
Depp
that
have kids
I think
with?
because Johnny Depp himself said that the reason that he sued her was to clear his name for his children. That's what I remember.
No, they don't have any kids together.
Okay, but how long were they together to begin with, I guess?
Did you Google it?
No, do you want me to Google it?
I can't. No,
Because
no, I can Google it.
you're Googling already, so I thought that you would just.
Yeah, how long did Johnny Depp and Amber Heard date? Because around the end of 2011 or the start of 2012, they started dating. Was officially dissolved in 2018. It seems
So
like, or they're
7 years. So we can assume that
it,
the children were already very used to Amber Heard being, you know, I would say probably their stepmother, if I have to guess.
it
So
seems like it's a few years.
I would argue that the reason he
2016,
stayed in the
4 years, 4 years.
relationship was
Continue.
because he was trying to be logical rather than listening to his feelings.
Yeah, but was it something you would have, advised him if Johnny Depp was your friend? Like, would you say, yeah, go with that girl? It's completely fine. You would probably say, no, 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 this is wrong. Then wouldn't he just slap back with, well, this is how I'm feeling.
No,
So
he
therefore
wouldn't.
it's right. And I should trust him.
No, he wouldn't. Because obviously he wasn't feeling good about the relationship. I'm arguing that the reason he was still in the relationship is because he was trying to be logical about it. He's doing
No, no,
what
but
Will Smith was doing with his wife. Uh,
and how
I
would he
don't
know
remember
that
her
though when he
name.
was in it? Amber Heard. Amber Heard. It's the name on the street.
No what?
But
How
here's
would
the
he know
thing:
what?
didn't he? No, how would he know that he's being miserable? Because if you say to him, "Hey," because you need to measure it somehow, right? But if he says, "No, I'm feeling
Okay,
good, man. I'm feeling
so,
super good,"
some
how would you get through to him at this point?
okay. You're putting in a position that I'm not sure why you're like putting me in. The question isn't whether or not I'm able to convince him he's feeling miserable. The question is, if he knows he is miserable, then what is the best choice for him?
Obviously, to leave. Yeah, I agree with you. But how would he know that he's miserable?
You know, when you go to the shower and your skin starts to go red, you realize, oh, it's hot. That's how he would know.
Yeah, but he would just deny that and say, "No, I'm feeling good in this relationship," and then he would go with
To
his feeling
who?
again to continue.
To who?
I mean, it's just
He would
I'm
deny to
curious.
whom? The question is not whether or not I'm able to convince him that he's feeling miserable. The question is whether he's feeling miserable or not.
But he would himself talk himself into feeling good. That he says, "No, I'm feeling good. This is fine."
Then he's just being delusional, of course. He's trying
Yeah,
to control his
that's
emotions. No, it isn't. If you're true to your emotions, you're gonna know when you're feeling bad.
yeah, but that's the thing. How would he? That's the thing, though. Like, if you
Because when you're
treat
in
your again,
pain, you
everybody
don't
has a
need
pain
to be
profile.
argued into knowing that you're in pain. When you're happy, you don't have to be argued that you're fucking happy because arguments come later. Emotions come first. He would know that he's miserable.
No, he wouldn't. He would just be like, "Yeah, I'm in this relationship. I'm gonna stay in it."
No, he
So I
would be
mean, why was
like,
he again?
I
Why was
am
he? But
miserable,
why
but
was
I
he
would
in it then?
stay in this relationship because even though I'm miserable, I think it's worth the sacrifice for my children. That was what was going through his head, most likely.
Yeah. So okay. So now I'm starting to see your argument a little bit more. Like, so you're saying that you're discounting delusion, like someone being delusional, obviously. So you would say Johnny Depp, he's not being true to himself. So therefore, he should know better, and therefore he should listen to his feelings to get out.
No,
Sort
that's
of. That's sort of what you're saying.
no, not
Now, okay,
really
how
at
did I
all.
get wrong?
I said that
How did I get
if he
wrong?
were to be miserable and to deny it,
Hmm?
then he would be
Hmm.
delusional. But I never said that
Okay.
he was going to deny it. You're the one who's saying that
Okay.
he's going to deny that he's miserable.
But I mean, if he's not okay, but no, I see what I so yeah, I see your point. So, but if he's that's the thing. So you're under the impression that he knew he was miserable. He knew that he was
Yes.
feeling bad, but he
Yes.
still was in the relationship.
Yes, because that's something that people often
That's
do.
your argument.
They realize that they are miserable and they still choose to remain in their misery because they do not want to sacrifice something that they have. That's, a lot of what Dr. Peterson talks about. Because
But
sometimes what you need to sacrifice is the thing that you're valuing most.
yeah, but that's the complete. This argument you're giving me now feels so much more different than the one you started with,
What
which
was
is why
it
we're here.
in comparison?
No, because when you said that, no, listening to your feelings, that is that is often better than listening to logic.
Yes.
And the thing is like, if his love was greater than the misery he felt, let's say he loved Amber Heard more, like the love he felt was greater than the scars upon his body, the fucking, because actually the example you gave with the rash in the shower was a really good one, because I'm pretty sure something like that happened to him. So it's a
Really?
perfect
Huh.
example. Yeah, I think so. I might be completely wrong. It might have just been that he saw that he was bleeding in the shower, but something with a shower, but I might be wrong. It might have been him cleaning out the poo from its bed that she left him. Now, here's the thing. If his feelings of love is greater than the misery he's feeling, should he then
Yes.
stay in the relationship?
It's difficult to say because I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think I've ever felt a love that was strong enough that would be like allow me to withstand misery, like true misery.
Mm.
Uh,
Okay.
so I don't know really, but if we're going to be like, if I'm allowed to speculate, I would say, well, if the love is greater, then he wouldn't feel the misery really. Like the misery itself would have meaning, and the meaning itself would give uh, a sense of the feeling being positive. Like they would be able to withstand it. Like as how Nietzsche said it, he who has a why can bear anyhow. So yeah, that's how I think. What I think would happen.
Okay, so I need to, because I didn't really understand what you meant there. No, I did hear what you were saying though
Mhm.
about, but it felt like I didn't quite hear the answer to the question, like yes or no. So is it like a negative no,
My
he would
answer
have left,
is my answer is
or yes, he would have
if
stayed?
I'm
Okay.
because like I just explained to you that I can't know because I haven't felt that, you know.
No, of course, of course, of course,
So
of
what I
course.
said was, okay, if the love is greater, then I think what would
Mm-hmm.
happen is it would triumph over the misery, and so it actually wouldn't feel like misery. It would feel like a sacrifice for love, and it would be
Yeah, but,
meaningful in that way, and therefore it wouldn't feel like misery.
yeah, but then you so if Johnny Depp had said that, let's say I don't know why, but let's say he's fucking in the stream right now, chatting out, and he says, "No, that's how I was feeling. I was feeling in the height of the misery or whatever." But it's a good word, so let's use that one. The
Mm,
misery I felt with Amber Heard, the love I had for her was greater than the misery. Would you then
yeah,
say he was acting? That was a clever move of him
to
to
divorce
stay in a
her
relationship.
or out to stay. Uh
Yes.
that the problem is that you use the word clever, but yes, if he still loved her, I think so. I think that by the time
Okay.
that uh the relationship got abusive, he would not love her anymore. And if he did, I would say that then there is actually something seriously wrong. But I don't think that that's the normal case. I think that the normal case is people are uh they are usually able to judge that when they're being harmed, the person who is harming them is not someone that they should love.
the thing, and you might be what is it called, surprised by my answer, but I sort of agree with you because from what I've seen and heard and in debates and stuff, so I might be completely wrong. It seems to me that the data seems like abusive relationships. You know, like I'm talking about, like let's say Amber Heard Johnny Depp situation, right?
Mm.
That is not that's like uncommon, right? It's
Yes.
not the common one. I think the data might be well, it might be the other way around. Then it would be very bad because then we have a fucking crisis at our hands, right? If it's like if it's flipped, then it's bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I'm getting at here is that the reason I disagree with you is that I don't feel that's a good rule to have, man. I don't. Because, I mean, just imagine me, right? Like, let's say you, like, I talk to you like now and I say, oh, yeah, I have this girlfriend. I really love her. She beats me up every night, but the love I feel for her is greater than the pain she burns on me.
I would be
You
worried
wouldn't tell
about
me to,
you. I would be worried. I
but you
would
would
say, "Are you sure?" And then, in the end, I would still be like, "Yeah, I can't because uh, I'm not in that relationship, so I can't judge it as well as someone who is."
well, hang on now.
Okay, before
Yeah,
I
I
go
don't
on,
feel,
it's like 1
okay, go
a.m.
on.
right now,
Sure, sure.
and we have like 1 hour before I go to sleep, and then I'm not sure if you want to play Baldur's Gate or not. So
Yeah,
you have to choose now.
you have to choose to go on this
Yes.
adventure of abusive. But I mean, yeah, sure, we can play that. I did enjoy this conversation. I find it fascinating. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I like this conversation. What's cool?
I think it was fine.
I mean,
Yes.
it's just depressing.
No, I mean, yeah, I was depressed, So
Okay,
yeah, I
so,
also have been
so
like walking in circles in Baldur's Gate for the whole conversation because I couldn't pay attention to what I was doing while I was talking, which is nice.
yeah, no. So I guess, but this is the final question. Then we can leave it. It's fine, and we can play go both skate.
Yeah.
But it's just here's the thing. I guess the reaction is that I don't feel. It feels to me that you would actually contradict that and actually get involved and say no, get the fuck out of this relationship. Because I mean, we're not like to get too personal here, but I'm sure you either you have or you've had very close female friends. There was like no love, like in that way, like you didn't want to bang her or she didn't want to bang you. It was just a friendship, right? And she was very close to you, right? So
Yeah.
if she came and said, and that, let's say it was a favelado, right? Let's say it was an actual favelado she was dating, right? And you
Mm.
knew that this guy, he's gonna snap, he's gonna fucking murder her one day.
Mm.
Even then, you wouldn't. I mean, sure, it feels to me that you would do whatever you could to talk her out of that relationship, even if she said what
Here's
in the example you did that.
exactly what will happen. So what will happen is I would argue with her a lot, of course, and I assume that you're in your scenario she wouldn't listen. And then I would start to get angry. And the reason I would start to get angry is because I would feel that I'm making very rational and concise points about why it is that she should end the relationship. And I assume that she would still not listen. And then I would get even angrier. But the reason I would get angrier is not because I'm angry at her, although I obviously am, but I'm also angry at myself for not being able to convince her. And this would go on for a while, I suppose, until I was so angry that I couldn't actually continue that because it would start to eat away at me. And then I would be like, all right, you want to kill yourself? Go ahead. I don't care anymore. And that's, my endpoint. So that's what would happen.
Hmm. Okay, cool. Well,
Yeah.
not cool. That's actually horrible. Actually, that was the wrong choice of words completely for me. No, no, I see what you mean,
It's a hypothetical
but
scenario,
then
Gagger. You're allowed to
yeah,
say it was
it's
cool.
just. I mean, maybe she died in a very funny way, like
Uh,
it was like super fun or something. So who knows, I don't know. I guess, yeah. I mean, you're consistent. I give you that, but or sort
I
of
mean,
because
I feel that way, Like, this is how I see the world. I believe that. It's not just something I came up with, and it's not something I'm making up right now. It's just like how I see things.
But how can you say it's better then? How can you say it's better than that? That's what I'm getting at here. How can you say it's better than that people listen to emotions more than logic? Because everyone would say that this woman in this
I
case scenario
no,
should listen.
it's
Yes, you should listen to Neo. He knows what's good. You should listen to him. He
no.
knows.
It's
Yeah.
context dependent, and yes, in this case, it would be wrong. But the problem isn't that it would be wrong in this case. The problem is, well, is it always wrong, or is it more often wrong, or how does it work? And what I said from the beginning was, you need to use both, and feelings are often more accurate. That doesn't mean they're infallible. I never argued for that.
Okay, and I guess that's also a crux we have because I felt okay. See, actually arguing that feelings are more often. No, because I did ask you that, and you said yes.
What?
So
Yes, they're more often better judges of whether a person is going to be in a good relationship.
yeah, and the other reason too, right, is this, right? I mean, I'm just gonna say this comment, then you can reply, and then I'm not gonna reply, okay?
Okay.
Is that because I need to, set up the whole thing anyway?
Yeah.
Is that I mean, just look at the Stone Age, right? When we were savages on the sea, then we were just feeling feelings, right? We were no logic, nothing. And Genghis Khan, right? These people, right? They just had feelings, they had no logic, and it often proved to be worse. That's
That's
sort of where I would take the conversation. If we had 2 more hours, that's where I would take the fucking conversation.
yeah. So my reply would be first, no, there's definitely logic. Like logic has at least 2 million years of age. And second, yeah, the fucking gulag was very logical. So how much of an improvement was it? You know, so you can just point out to the atrocities of the 20th century and realize that they were very mathematical, they were very productive, they were very efficient about killing human beings. So like logic is not the judge of what is true.
Well, I have a like a meme, like a counter.
So
Your mom
what's
said I was right. Like your mom said I was right, and she said you were wrong. I
this?
won this debate.
I see. You
Anyway,
told me
let me
that
call.
first.
Get the. Are you fucking your mom as well?
Mm, Fuck off, Geiger. That's too far.
Anyway, man, it's Brazil. I don't know what's far, man. I don't know what fucking rules you have, man. Anyway, can you send me the link and I will start?
Give me a second. I'm gonna quit streaming
Oh,
first, unless. Wait, do you want me to record this or not? I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm just
I'll
gonna
stay on
record it
both screen.
anyway. No,
Yeah, yeah,
I
do
need
it.
to. Otherwise, it's gonna be like you're gonna have to cut the recording. So I'm gonna stop first.